Hey everybody, it's me, Jedi Singh. I'm kind of silhouetted here, so you guys can't really see what I look like. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Excuse me, I just had some blue titty milk. Anyway, this is a video. This is a video about my review on the Rise of Skywalker. This is also a face review/reaction. So 3 in 1. So hey ho, Merry Christmas, Merry Singmas, Merry Sithmas, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so this video is going to be a non-spoiler and spoiler talk. So the start of it will be spoilers. Sorry, not spoilers. My bad. The start of it will be non-spoilers, and the next bit will be spoilers. I will alert you that we'll be talking about spoilers, so please be aware. Don't blame me if I've said spoilers and you carry on watching, and you say, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that," but there's spoilers for a reason. Hence why it's spoiler talk. Whatever I do say, if people want to disagree with me in the comments, go for it. If you guys want to agree with me, that's fine. If you guys want to take the piss out of me, go for it as well. But you just get blocked and you get shut on by me and my moderators and my friends. So anyway, let's just get into it. So the Rise of Skywalker, this is going to be a non-spoiler talk for this part. I want to talk about the score first. Like the theme tunes, the absolute soundtrack for that was phenomenal. I loved every bit of it. The music were like screams my audio receptors. The music was absolutely phenomenal. It was emotional. It brought a lot of nostalgia back to the originals, some of the prequels, etc. The storyline was, it was good. It was a good storyline. It answered a lot of questions that people had, like who's Rey's parents, who's Snoke. What happened with Luke, etc. It explains all of that. But the real talk I want to talk about is the spoilers. Now, obviously, we'll get into that later into the video. But for me, I want to talk a lot more about the spoilers and non-spoilers because I have so much things I want to say to you that I might as well just reveal. But I'm not going to do that yet. Luke's character was very good. Finn was good. Poe I liked. I enjoyed Poe, BB-8, R2, 3PO. 3PO was very funny. In all the scenes he was in, and the storyline could have been a little bit better. They could have added a few more things here and there. But I will say, go in there with an open mind. It is the best out of the 3 trilogies that we've had. That's been, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and then obviously The Rise of Skywalker. JJ did attempt to fix a lot of things that Rian Johnson created. So obviously, the destruction of the mask, that we see Kylo, rebuild the mask. That symbolizes a kind of fix to the film, but to me, yes and no. And about Rey's parents being nobodies, etc. That obviously gets answered, and that obviously again I'll talk about in the spoilers. But to be honest, I really want to talk more about the spoilers of the film because I think that's where the key comes in. That's where my mind's kind of twisted because I don't know if this is settling well for me. I don't know if this film really does settle the whole Star Wars trilogy, the whole saga. The Skywalker, let's say Skywalker saga, that's a key word, Skywalker, and we'll come back to that. But I don't think it's sitting well. JJ said that obviously these 9 films, or episode 9 ties in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7, 8, and 9 basically. But to be honest, I don't think he did that. He did a little bit, but he could have done a lot more. And now we're going to talk. Now we're going to talk about the spoilers. So if you guys want to stop here, just pause the video. Save the time link where you're at, and then come back when you've seen the film. Or if you want to carry on, and you're not bothered about spoilers, etc. If you do watch, but don't blame me if you're watching on or if you skip the video by accident. But it might be your fault, might not be, might just be a slip of the finger. If it is spoiler talk, just press X quickly on the tab. Now the things I'll say they'll be in random orders, like because I have images in my head that are going different orders, like everywhere. So let's talk about Palpatine first. We'll talk about him. It never really explains how he survived the destruction of the Death Star, which is what everyone wanted to know. And the first part of the movie is actually we see him, and we see that Snoke was cloned by Palpatine. Palpatine created Snoke, which is probably what was known by a lot of people. Like, it was cloned. That he was the voices that Kylo was hearing. Now Palpatine was manipulating all these, all like Snoke, Vader, all the Sith. He was manipulating him, and he was telling him to do this, that, and the other when he didn't want to do it. And we see Palpatine. He's broken. He's on a life support machine, a life support system, and he's completely broken. He is blind. He's blind. His fingers are all kind of cut off. You see they're like bony, and you can see like lightning through him, but he's not his full potential. And he wants Rey for some reason, and I'll get onto that. And then we find that, and now we'll get onto that anyway, but we'll find out that actually Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine, which kind of was very, very shocking. And her parents weren't really nobodies. So obviously, as we know, Leia was the daughter of Vader. So, and then Rey's father was the son of Palpatine, and it never explains it. It never explains in the film how that happens. And Palpatine killed Rey's parents to get to Rey, but obviously Rey was already taken to Jakku. And that's what kind of shocked me, is like, how is that her daughter? Oh, sorry, how is that his granddaughter? Sorry. So that's what kind of shocked. We needed more answers there. She uses Force lightning in Pasana, I think it's Pasana, I believe was the planet, the sand planet that looks like Jakku and Tatooine together. She uses Force lightning, and she doesn't know why, but now she'll find out that she's the granddaughter of Palpatine. Again, as I say, guys, it will be in random order, the things I remember. It tells us that actually Luke was actually looking for the unknown regions, which was Exegol, which Palpatine was kind of laying low all these years, creating his fleet, which he called the Final Order, was his fleet. And they had Death Star technology, so they were capable. Their Star Destroyers were capable of destroying an entire planet. So it was basically Death Stars in Star Destroyers, which I kind of I loved how he used the Force, and he raised the whole fleet on Exegol, on the unknown regions. I'm trying to think, guys. Sorry. Kylo Ren, we'll talk about him later. Luke, we'll talk about Luke. Actually, let's talk about Luke. I'm going to forget about Rose because she didn't have a lot. Neither did Dominic's character. Dominic, I can't remember him. The guy from Lord of the Rings. He didn't have a lot. Poe and Finn, there were a little bit of confrontation between them two, but it kind of got resolved in the end. The droids, they were funny. 3PO was probably the funniest from them, because when he got his memory wiped, everyone said, oh no, his memory's getting wiped, blah, blah, blah. It only happened for like a second. That was it. And then R2 restored his systems, and that was it. I don't know what everyone was fussing about. But these trailers like to trick people, like, oh no, C-3PO's never going to find anything again, But we'll talk about Kylo Ren now. We'll talk about Kylo Ren and Rey and their fight scenes. I think the lightsaber duel, the second one they had I think it was Kijimi. I'm not sure if it was, but it was on an end. I think it was on Kijimi, but I'm not entirely sure if it was on Kijimi or if it was on a different planet. But I think it was a different planet. But it was on a forest moon of Endor. It was on a forest moon, and Endor was... It was on a moon of Endor. I can't remember what the planet was, but where the Death Star debris landed and all that. But when she goes into the Death Star, she finds Dark Rey, which is like a kind of vision of what she would have been, the Empress, and she has a little fight scene between that, and Kylo Ren comes out, and they fight, and she finds a Sith I think it's a Sith hologram, or it's a map finder or something that leads them to the Exegol, to the unknown regions. So what happens then, they have a fight scene. I thought they tried really too hard to copy Anakin versus Obi-Wan. I could easily tell they were doing it because if you remember, in Mustafa, you had the lava just spewing out everywhere. And in this one, it was like the water was just coming everywhere. It was just copying Anakin versus Obi-Wan. And if I'm honest, nothing can beat that fight scene. If I'm honest, nothing can. I'm sorry though, that blue milk's getting to me. But I think they tried too hard copying that. And then the bit where so they're fighting together, and then they feel Leia passing away, but before she does, she holds the medal. She's calling out to Ben one last time to try and reach him, and then unfortunately she dies, which was very emotional. I did cry at that scene. I thought it was very well done the way it was done. Only because they can only use only small snippets of Leia because unfortunately Carrie Fisher may she rest. She passed away way before the film got released, and I think before The Last Jedi as well. So that was kind of touching. That was very touching. And the bit where Chewbacca, when they come back from when Finn, Poe, and Rey, they don't come back. She doesn't come back, but when they come back to the base, Chewbacca just goes ballistic, and that's what made me kind of emotional as well because he's lost everything. He lost Leia, he lost Han, he's lost Luke, he's lost his three best friends, and it's so heartbreaking. And then Poe's trying to like comfort him, and he's like, "No, get the fuck away from me." I thought that was very, very emotional there. But then again, if we go back to the fight scene where they're fighting, Kylo, he's winning the fight, so it's not Rey dominating, it's Kylo Ren, he's dominating the entire fight. But then when he feels Leia calling out to him, he stops the fight, and then Rey gets the opportunity to stab him. So she stabs him across with his crossguard saber, and then she feels it too, and then she feels what she's done, so she force heals him, that she's learnt. And if you guys seen The Mandalorian, again, that's a little bit of a spoiler as well. Baby Yoda. But she kind of heals him, because they did say The Mandalorian ties into episode 9, so she heals him. And then she goes off to Ahch-To. But before we talk about going off to Ahch-To, so she leaves. Kylo is then looking at the horizon with the water splashing everywhere, and then he hears something behind him. He goes, "Hey kid," and Han Solo comes back, which was phenomenal. And he doesn't come back as you thought. Oh no, he's back as Force Ghost. No, he comes back as a memory, and it's Han Solo with Kylo Ren, and that scene between them two was emotional as well. That was very, very touching. It's exactly, let's just say it's exactly the same scene that they had in The Force Awakens when they meet. Solo's like, Han's like, come home. And then Kylo Ren's like, it's too late, your son's gone. Your son is dead. But then what really happened was when Han Solo says, no, Kylo Ren is dead. Ben Solo is back. And the one thing that really got me was when Kylo Ren he says, Dad. He goes, it's so emotional, I feel like crying. It was very emotional when he said that. But he said Dad in a very, very soft spoken tone. And then Han smiles at him. And then Kylo Ren learns his mistakes. He looks, and we see his crossguard saber, and he tosses it into the ocean. Just like how Luke tosses his lightsaber in Return of the Jedi. Like, I'll never join the dark side. That's exactly it. It's like he throws his crossguard saying, I'm never going to turn my back on the Jedi again, blah, blah, blah. So he tosses it into the sea. And then we see Rey. And then we don't know what happens then. And then we see Rey in Ahch-To. She's burning the TIE fighter. She's angry. She's throwing wood, etc. to burn it alive. She gets the lightsaber, and then she tosses it across to the fire piece, and then we see a hand, and out of that hand is Luke Skywalker, and he comes out walking across with the saber. And it's a heroic, epic tune of Luke Skywalker's theme, and then he comes out and he goes, "What are you doing?" And then she's like, well, I'm doing exactly what you did. I'm going to exile. And then Luke goes, I was wrong doing that. And it's just looking at Rian Johnson. I was wrong to make Luke this way, you know? And Luke was like, I was wrong to do that. You know, I was wrong to hide, to be in exile, to die on this planet. So he's kind of learned from his mistake. It was too late because he's dead. And then Luke is explaining to Rey about Palpatine, about the unknown regions, about why he was traveling there, and about him training Leia. And then we get a flashback scene of Luke and Leia fighting. So we see his green lightsaber. Again, that's a question that's not answered. Where is his green saber? That's what I wanted to know. So Luke Skywalker and Leia are fighting, and then Leia gives up the way of the Jedi because she sees in the future that her pregnancy or her child that she has is going to go down a dark path if she continues to be a Jedi. So she stops her training, and then Luke gives Rey her Leia's lightsaber, and then he goes, well, her lightsaber. He goes, Leia's lightsaber would be given to someone down the same path as Leia did, and that we'll talk about during the end. Anyway. So then Rey's like, I have nowhere to get there. And he goes, you have everything you need. And then we see Luke lift up the X-Wing from Arc 2. And that's a massive throwback to Empire Strikes Back. And you hear Yoda's theme, which is heroic and amazing. That's emotional as well. So then she takes Red 5 all the way to Exegol. And she's kind of telling the Resistance, look, this is how you get there. And then they're all like, and then Poe's like, well, we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to go to the unknown regions and basically blow up their signals to stop the fleet from taking off and destroying the galaxy. So they do that. She goes to Palpatine. It's revealed that Palpatine wants her to strike him down. They become more powerful than you can possibly imagine, you know? That when she strikes down Palpatine's spirit and force will go inside Rey, and that she will take over the throne. So she does that. She doesn't do that, but she goes to Palpatine and they're having a conversation about the granddaughter, etc., why, etc., blah, blah, blah. And then we see Kylo Ren, who takes a TIE fighter, and he tries to find Rey. And the Knights of Ren are there, and he's taking a beating. But then, again, you know, at the end there was that force bridge where she takes out the Skywalker saber and she puts it behind her back. And then Ben Solo takes it and he kills the Knights of Ren himself. And then Rey and Kylo Ren together, they kill some of the troopers that are there with Palpatine. And then they're together, they stand together, and then they charge at Palpatine, and he's like, oh, you're fools. And he kind of sucks their soul out of them. And it basically makes him to his true form. So he needed them to make him to his true form, which he did. And he was off his life support system that he was on. And he came by, and then the massive battle up in Exegol, up in that space battle. I think it was on space or in the planet. I believe it was the planet. But that space battle was epic. I enjoyed that space battle. It reminded me a bit of like Endgame, where like there was like so many ships. You could not keep count how many ships there were. There was hundreds of ships that would come together. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit. But the scene where Palpatine's kind of sucking the life out of Rey and Kylo, and he becomes all powerful, his fingers grow back, etc. And he gets the lightning. They both collapse in. They're really, really injured. And then he's doing the lightning in the air. Then Kylo kind of gets up and he tries to take on Palpatine. And he says something like, this will be the final word in the story of Ben. So I can't remember exactly what it was. And he chucks him down a shaft. So he like lightnings him or pushes him across down a shaft. And then we don't see Kylo again until obviously again later. And then Rey's really injured. So she's really, really injured. And she calls out on the stars. So we see the stars. And then you can hear voices of, I think Obi-Wan was first, and then it was Kanan, Mace Windu, Yoda, Ahsoka, Master Luminar, Aayla Secura, and Anakin. And I believe Anakin, this was Hayden Christensen's Anakin. He goes, Rey, you must restore balance like I did. And you could easily tell it was Hayden Christensen's Anakin. Easily tell. And then they kind of give her, they tell her to rise, rise, rise. So they all say rise, and Qui-Gon comes back, and they're talking, and they tell her to, Rey, you must rise, you must rise, and they basically give her the energy to make her stand up, and he deflects the lightning back towards Palpatine. So Palpatine tries to lightning Rey, and then she kind of blocks it with the two lightsabers, and she kind of kills him. Now I want to talk to you about this scene. Now that scene, I thought it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't well done. What could have been better was the ghosts of them came instead. So instead of, hearing the voices, it would have been, Rey, you must get up. And that was Anakin who says to Rey, you must get up. And then you would have seen Anakin, Obi-Wan, Luke, Yoda, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon. Kanan was in it as well. I think Ezra was as well, and so was Ahsoka Tano. And you would see all these Force ghosts behind Rey. So instead of the voices, it would have actually been them behind Rey, and they all touch her on the shoulder, or they all just touch her and use the Force. They close their eyes, use the Force, and give her the energy, and they actually physically give her the power. So it's all of them combined, like, give her the strength to take on Palpatine. But it was just, what bad thing was, it was the voices that persuaded her to do it, which I kind of think it threw out the window of Anakin not doing the deed, if you know what I mean. Anakin should have really been the one that should have struck down Palpatine. If I'm honest, they kind of threw out the whole Anakin was the chosen one. Kathleen Kennedy even said that all these films built up to Rey. I don't believe that's bullshit. That's total bullshit, Kathleen. It throws out Anakin's sacrifice. It throws it all out. But Anakin did all of that for nothing. And Rey was the one who did it. But it would have been so much better if Anakin was the one to do it. Anakin and Obi-Wan should have been the ones to do it. Or it should have been Rey leaves the planet, and the Force ghosts of Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda, Luke, and possibly Qui-Gon, they're together and they ignite their sabers or something, and then Palpatine, lightnings them, and then they deflect it and they kill him. So it wasn't Rey who kills him, but they kill him. But again, you could argue that maybe it wasn't just Rey killing Palpatine all by herself. It was actually the voices that gave her the spirit, gave her the strength to do it. Otherwise, without them, she would have been killed. So maybe you would actually think, well, actually, if they weren't there, she would have been killed. And Palpatine would have been the ruler of the entire galaxy. So that's one thing that kind of pissed me off, and that Anakin... it should have been Anakin. I think Anakin should have had a huge importance to the story. It should have been a lot of importance. And the bit where Luke's telling Rey about Palpatine, I think Hayden Christensen and Anakin should have appeared alongside Luke. Now, I really wanted to have Luke and Anakin together, father and son, bonding with Rey. Perhaps even Obi-Wan come back and speak to Rey. Or Yoda wasn't even a Force ghost, which pissed me off, But they should have came back and told Rey, listen, we're giving you this advice. This is what you need to do. And they would have said, we'll be there with you if you need us. And obviously they were there, but as voices, which is kind of annoying. They should have been there on Exegol as Force ghosts, giving her the powers, or them doing the deed themselves. But no, it was just her kind of blocking the lightning and killing him. And then he's dead. And then we see she dies. Rey dies at the end. And then we see Ben Solo comes out from the shaft he fell in, and he did the Force heal. He gave her his life, and then the Reylo shit happens. And then he dies. So he becomes one with the Force, and then that's it. We have nothing else to do with Ben. We don't know what happens to him. He becomes one with the Force. That's quite emotional. I think that was a good scene. And then it's the celebration. So we see the Ewoks and Endor. I think we see Wicket. I believe we see Wicket. Then we see Bespin. We see the Star Destroyers come down. Coruscant, we didn't see Coruscant, and I don't know why they didn't show Coruscant. And then the end scene is them going to Tatooine, where it's on the Lars homestead. and then she's got the lightsaber. She's got Luke's lightsaber, and she's got Leia's, and she kind of packs them away, and she kind of buries it deep underneath where Luke's home was. And then a woman comes across and she goes, "Oh, no one's been here for, I think, years or many years. It's been deserted." She goes, "What's your name?" She goes, "Ray Skywalker." And then she's looking at to the horizon. And then we see the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia. Which again, the ending could have been a lot more better. Just that ending on Tatooine. I'm glad it ended on Tatooine. That was good. It was good that it ended on Tatooine where it all started. But it would have been better if it was the Force ghosts of, I'm going to come back to them because they're significant. To tie in all these trilogies, you should have had Qui-Gon, not Mace Windu, because probably I don't think he achieved immortality, but Qui-Gon did, Obi-Wan, Yoda, Luke, Leia, and Anakin. The six of them, I said Yoda, didn't I? Yeah, the six of them should have been looking at Rey together, smiling, and then the credits should have rolled. But no, it was just Luke and Leia, and then Rey and BB-8 looking to the two sons, and that was it. And that was the end of the film. So I came out thinking, what have I seen? The thing is, I need to see it again to get a final thought of it. So my initial thought, it was good, but it lacked a lot of things. It lacked a lot of Anakin, and there should have been a lot more Anakin in it, a lot more. But I'm going to go back on Friday, so tomorrow, with a few friends of mine. I'm going to go back and watch it. Give it a second chance. But guys, I do apologise for me dragging on this video. I do apologise if it was muddled up, but I was just trying to remember what I've seen. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you soon.